Hey everyone, what's up? It's Cinder, and in today's video, I wanted to have an open discussion with you all and talk about one of the biggest reasons I think a lot of players actually lose in Pokemon Unite. What is that reason? Surrendering. You see, Pokemon Unite isn't a very long game. At most, a game will only take you about 10 minutes, maybe 11 or 12 if you also count picking your Pokemon and loading the game. Playing a single match doesn't take very long, and yet I see a lot of pictures on Twitter of teams surrendering when Rayquaza hasn't even spawned yet. So today I wanted to give my personal thoughts and opinions on surrendering, along with the reasons why I feel the way I do about it, and then I wanted to open up the floor to you guys in the comments, reading and discussing your thoughts and opinions and reasons for them as well. Before I start, I just want to quickly say that I'm not here to flame anyone for their opinions or beliefs on this subject. This is simply meant to be a discussion about a topic I feel that not everyone agrees on, and it'd be nice to see the pros and cons from both sides. But first, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on the matter. So, if you're down for a discussion, click the like button and let's get started. Right off the bat, I'll say that personally, I think the surrender function in Pokemon Unite should be removed entirely. I feel like this is probably the popular opinion among players, but I could be wrong, which is all the more reason to make this video and have this discussion. So why should it be removed from the game? Well, to start off, a 5v5 match only lasts for 10 minutes, during which a vote to surrender can be held starting at the 5-minute mark, which is only halfway through the game. If a team votes to surrender, then you immediately lose the remaining 50% of the game without any chance for a comeback. And if you only wanted to play 5 minutes at a time, then you should queue up for quick play instead of standard or ranked. But that's not the only reason why I think it should be removed. You see, Pokemon Unite is unique to other MOBAs in the sense that it has a very strong comeback mechanic built into the game in the form of Rayquaza. Or Zapdos if you're playing Remote Stadium, but we're not going to talk about that. Defeating Rayquaza gives your entire team a big shield, moderate damage increase, tons of Eos energy, and the ability to score points without being stopped as long as the shield is intact. If your team manages to take down the Green Sky Dragon, you'll be able to score 300, 400, even 500 points with relative ease, which in most games is more than enough to win. But by surrendering, you rob yourselves of that chance to make such a comeback possible. Surrendering at any point before Rayquaza spawns or is defeated immediately drops your chances of winning to 0%. I see a lot of posts on Twitter that talk about how, oh, my team surrendered when we were winning, what the heck? Or, we were only down by 100 points and my team surrendered at 5 minutes. Which is honestly really sad to see, especially when you consider that I'm seeing these posts almost daily. You never know what will happen in the last 5 minutes of a game, or even the last 2 minutes. The enemy team might get too greedy, slip up, and now you've suddenly whipped out 4 of them and can safely take down Rayquaza and score points. Or maybe you'll just have a Blissey walk up and steal the Rayquaza from the enemy team with an Egg Bomb. I've seen that happen a few times too. The point is anything can happen, but if you surrender, you're guaranteed to lose. And if you play it out to the very end, then you'll at least always have a chance to make a comeback. To help emphasize what I mean, let's take a look at this game that's been playing in the background. I just happened to record this game by chance, wanting to get some B-roll footage for future videos, but I'd be lying if I said this wasn't the reason I wanted to make this specific video. See, in the game, me and my team are losing pretty badly, only having 1 exterior goal left while the enemy team just KO'd 3 of us, including myself. Rayquaza just spawned as well, and the enemy team isn't going for it because they know that they don't need to. They're already in the lead with at least 100 points. On top of that, they keep getting knockouts on my teammates, meaning we're never able to fight them with an advantage. And I'll admit, I did think that this game was pretty much over too. All the enemy team had to do was continue to put pressure on us without even touching Rayquaza and they'd win for sure. But in the last 90 seconds of the game, they got too greedy. With all 5 members of their team still up and only 3 of mine, it seemed like it would be the end as Cramorant and Mamoswine pushed up to widen the score gap even further. However, I'm actually able to stop Mamoswine from scoring another 100 points, knock it out before it gets another chance to try and score, and then immediately head to Rayquaza. Once I'm there, I see that the enemy Greninja, Cinderace, and Pikachu are attempting to take it down so my team can't. And that was their mistake. I take my time and line up a huge Unite move, which hits all 3 of them at once, dropping them below half health. A quick Surf puts all 3 at critically low HP, letting me take each one of them down with a basic attack before fighting Rayquaza, who's already at half health thanks to their greediness. Just like that, in a matter of seconds, 4 of their teammates are down for the count, my team is about to respawn, and Cramorant is nowhere near to contest Rayquaza. It goes down, giving my team Eos energy and score shields, letting us safely dunk over 350 points to turn the game around and win. Now, a surrender vote did go up in this game. Twice, actually. But I'm glad we didn't surrender, because if we did, then we never would have won. And to me, that's the biggest reason the surrender function should be removed from the game. So many games can seem hopeless until the very last minute, and then suddenly the tables will turn and your team is now in the lead. It's literally part of the game's design. It's why people hate Zapdos so much, because it was such a powerful comeback mechanic that everyone knew they could still win a match in the last 2 minutes when it appeared. And the same goes for Rayquaza. It's not an instant winning condition like Zapdos was, but your team will still win a majority of the time if you manage to defeat it. That's why it's so important to never surrender during a game, even if you're getting stomped, trashed, and disrespected. Because literally anything can happen in that last 2 minutes. You never know how the enemy team will play in that final stretch of the game. And I've had plenty of matches where my team is the one up by 100 points and they decide to fight Rayquaza when we don't need to. And we end up losing because the enemy team is able to take us out, snag Rayquaza for themselves, and score points to come back and win. As long as you don't give up, there's always a chance that you can come back and win the game. And before you say, oh, but my teammates are always terrible and I'm always playing a 1v5 and all the other usual lines you hear on social media, I'd like to point out that in this same game, my team Serena took my own jungle from me at the very beginning, putting me behind for a good portion of the early game, and our Clefable was only a part of 3 total knockouts despite the team as a whole having a total of 28. Now, I'm not here to bash or hate on these players, I'm just saying this to prove a point that even with less than ideal teammates, any game is winnable. I mean, the Serena's name is literally you take L's, and yet we walked away with a W. So if that isn't a reason to not surrender, I don't know what is. Another reason why I feel the surrender option should go is because it's just too distracting. Seeing that box appear in the top right of the screen not only obstructs a bit of your vision, but it also acts like this dire threat looming over your head while you play. Like, oh, if I don't make some sort of big play right now and get a KO or score points, my teammates are going to say yes, and then we're going to lose the game. It splits your focus, and as a result, your gameplay will suffer. It always seems to happen during a big team fight as well, which is never ideal. Also, and this is more of a personal nitpick for me, it's just really annoying to actually vote to surrender or to not surrender. Having to hold down start in order to open the voting options means you can't use your items or attack, and when the vote options do appear, you're locked out of your Unite move and your ZR move because those are the buttons used to vote yes or no. Like I said, that's more of a personal nitpick of mine, but maybe some of you share that as well. My point is, nothing positive ever comes from surrendering, especially when there's still 5 minutes left in the match. Anything can happen in that last 5 minutes, and every game is winnable up until the very end. Now, like I said, I want this to be a discussion between us, me, and you guys in the comments. So to help facilitate that discussion, let's briefly talk about the other side of this, which is to keep the surrender option in the game. While I did say that my personal preference would be to remove the option altogether, I do want to mention one idea of keeping it in the game that I saw on Twitter. Basically, the option to surrender would still be allowed in the game, but a vote could only be started after Rayquaza was defeated or within the last 2 minutes. The reason for this is that a majority of the time, the team that secures Rayquaza will win the game, especially if they're already in the lead. Not every time, but in most games, that's usually the outcome. So I can understand why some teams would want the option to surrender within those last 2 minutes just to save themselves a bit of time. And I do get wanting to save everyone time so we can all hop into the next match, and I've definitely had games where I voted yes to a surrender after the enemy team takes Rayquaza a few times, but I also don't feel like that this is completely necessary. If you have to wait 8, 8.5, 9, or even 9.5 minutes just to surrender, you might as well play out the rest of the match instead. Don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to this idea, but I also don't think that the game needs a surrender option at all. When you queue up for a game, you know that you're going to have to commit a minimum of 10 minutes of your time. So it only makes sense to see it through to the very end, even when there's only a minute or 2 left. So in summary, personally, I think the surrender option should be removed entirely, but I wouldn't be opposed to having it changed to where you can only vote in the last 2 minutes or after Rayquaza is defeated. That's just what I think though. What do you guys think? Should Unite keep the current surrender option, change it, or delete it entirely? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you do like this type of discussion video and you'd like to see more, go ahead and click the like button so I know that you do like it. Also, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss future videos that might be future discussions, guides, or gameplay videos. But that's all I've got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck, take care, and I'll see you later.